Coming up and coming down on Now See This.
They're already melting.
A swinging single gets friendly with a high-voltage tower. A straight-laced lawman gets sideswiped by a 2,000-pound car.
The vehicle ran over my leg and continued to drive on, didn't stop.
This is awesome.
And some hardball fanatics get a souvenir
Whoa.
that provides major league thrills. There's skunks who clunk, pups that paddle, and a tyke who's trapped. It's enough to make you turn tail and run. Think you've seen it all? Now see this. Sprint car racing is best known for its thrilling crashes and wipeouts, but today's thrill is the kind that can kill. Track photographer Larry Ulam rolls tape at the Santa Maria Speedway in California. Like most nights, he watches top-notch racer Gene Manhire gun it for a win. But tonight, his camera catches the fan favorite fighting for his life.
As I heard the announcer say that there is a car on fire, I swung in Gene's direction and saw that he was in flames.
And bursting into flames, it's number 4, Gene Manhire. The red flag is out. The safety personnel are there.
Fire crews don't know it, but Gene's gas tank has a huge crack and is leaking gallons of fuel all over the track, making it impossible to put out with a hand-size extinguisher.
Manhire's car engulfed in flames, and boy, it's a stubborn fire. Gene Manhire is out of the car.
The track announcer thinks Gene is in the clear, but he's actually mistaking him for another driver who's trying to help. So while the audience breathes a collective sigh of relief, the rescuers keep working, knowing that behind the wall of smoke, Gene is still stuck and the flames are still growing.
Bringing out the hose from there.
The car seat is so hot it's burning Gene's thighs and calves through his fire-resistant suit. He needs to get out now, but the seatbelt won't let him loose.
Boy, that thing is really burning.
It's a dire situation, and Gene's only hope arrives in the form of a tanker. It's loaded with 500 pounds of water, which blasts away the flames. At first, the fire only gets worse, and rescuers wonder if anything will ever get it out. But the flames finally abate, and when the smoke starts to clear, they dive in and get Gene out. Alive, but not in good shape.
It seemed like it took an extremely long time to get the fire out. Everybody was in a panic mode. Basically, when you put a stopwatch on it, it took 1 minute and 17 seconds to get the fire out.
1 minute 17 is like a death sentence to fire victims, especially when the victim can't even help themselves.
The big part of the problem was that when Gene first came down after the crash, Gene was knocked for a loop. He was basically knocked a little woozy.
Gene was knocked out upon impact and only realized he was in deep trouble when the smoke triggered his senses.
Everybody was trying to do what they could to awake Gene, to get him aroused enough to where he could help himself and to also help get him out of the car.
Gene Manhire wanted us to announce that he is burned, but he's okay.
Gene suffered second-degree burns from head to toe, but it could have been a whole lot worse if it weren't for his fire-resistant suit and the help of a few heroes.
I feel that all of our firemen know now that this type of situation can come up, and if it ever does again, we're now ready for it.
It was the worst disaster of the track's history, and hopefully the last of its kind. Today, the Speedway has equipped itself with special extinguishers designed to handle the sort of flames that almost took out one of the crowd's favorite racers. As for Gene, he's back behind the wheel with confidence, knowing that if this happens again, the fire crew has him covered. A frigid December night in Newark, Delaware will bring this man's best friend, Ben, nose to nose with an icy death.
Come on! Come on, Ben. Let's go.
When Newark Rescue arrives on scene, they quickly realize the water is far too cold to send a man in without special equipment. An assistance call is made to the Port Penn Water Rescue Team. But with hypothermia setting in, time is something Ben doesn't have.
Right, come on.
It was a pretty cold evening, about 7 or 8 o'clock. I think he was in the water for about 15 minutes prior to us getting there. We didn't even expect to get to the scene. We figured we'd be canceled before we got there. I expected the dog to have already succumbed to the coldness.
Mark Willis and his partner use special cold weather exposure suits to protect them from the freezing water temperatures. But when they step out on the ice, they discover it won't hold their weight. The only option is to wade toward Ben, breaking the ice with each soggy step. But a trapped animal is highly unpredictable.
A scared animal is one of the worst situations you can come upon, and we were concerned about being bitten.
As the rescue team gets closer, Ben appears agitated and unsure of what's happening. Uncertain of what kind of reception he'll get, Mark Willis reaches out and grabs the dog by the collar. Ben wastes no time in making fast friends with Mark.
Just kind of climbed up on my chest and held on for the ride.
As they're dragged ashore, Mark tries to keep Ben calm. They don't want him getting loose again.
Once we got him out of the water, he took off running, tail wagging, was happy to be out of the water, was happy to see his owner.
Come here, bud.
Ben's appreciative owner is ready to get his frosty hound back to warm surroundings.
Thank you very much.
He was very lucky. Had this been a human rescue, the outcome may have been tragically different.
Ready to go home?
He could probably last longer than a regular human being due to the fact that he has a fur coat and all, and he's accustomed to the water.
Thanks to Mark Willis and his own natural winter coat, Ben will shake off the trauma of his icy swim. But it's enough to make any canine long for the dog days of summer.
Good boy, bud.
Houston County, Georgia. 2 officers have just ticketed a pair of speeders on this busy stretch of highway. As they walk up to send the second violator on her way, Corporal Joe Sendek becomes aware of another reckless driver. In a very personal way. Officer Sendek is far from all right. The vehicle swerved into the emergency lane, and the passenger side mirror struck his left thigh at 60 miles an hour.
My leg was bruised from my hip down to my knee. It had done some damages to my back, torn some muscle in my back, and of course it destroyed my weapon.
For the moment, Sendek doesn't feel any pain. He just feels his blood boiling as he jumps back in his cruiser and charges after the yellow car that hit him.
All I know that the vehicle ran over my leg and continued to drive on, didn't stop.
Motorists move aside as the officer roars past them, searching the traffic for the guilty party. Within a minute, he spots the yellow car casually cruising in the right lane. Adding insult to injury, the driver seems to be ignoring the patrol car's flashing lights and siren that mean just one thing: pull over now. At last, the driver gets the message. Corporal Sendek is finally about to confront the punk who hit him face to face. But the officer is in for a surprise.
Sir, you ran into me. You ran into me. Step out of the vehicle, sir.
I asked the driver to step out, and I immediately seen an old man that appeared to be in his 80s.
What's your problem? You swerved over the outside side of the road and ran into me. Look what you did. Look at the side of your mirror and everything.
The male acted like he didn't understand or comprehend what was going on.
The man's equally ancient wife is only slightly more clued in.
Why didn't you all stop?
Well, I thought this was mad. I thought somebody shot.
No, man, you ran into me. Look what you did. You ran into me. Don't touch me, sir. You got a driver's license?
Yeah.
As the elderly man retrieves his license, Officer Sendek limps back to his cruiser to take a seat. When a second officer shows up, the woman explains how she was convinced Corporal Sendek had randomly chosen to shoot at them as they passed him on the freeway. The baffled officer isn't quite sure what to say to that. Meanwhile, if Sendek thought getting hit hurt, getting information out of this clueless couple is twice as painful.
Don't you need to see your insurance card, sir? Insurance card for the vehicle.
What did you say?
Even after the couple receive a ticket for leaving the scene of an accident, the woman tries to plead her case again.
I thought it was a gun.
You thought it was a gun? Well, man, that was your mirror coming up the side of your vehicle.
The officer has his own theory about why the geriatric gentleman hit him.
Obviously, he shouldn't have been driving.
After months of recuperating while on desk duty, Corporal Joe Sendek is back on his beat. But he realized he'd learned a valuable lesson that near tragic day.
Since the accident, I've been a little bit more cautious. But again, when you stop vehicles on the interstate, you never know what you're going to stop or who you're going to meet or who you're going to make contact with.
Or who's going to make contact with you. It's the last few weeks of spring in northern Texas, and with summer rapidly approaching, most people are celebrating the promise of sunny days. But a small group of thrill seekers have their hearts set on cloudy skies and rainy weather.
Well, it's an incredible funnel.
Chris Cridler and David Lewison are storm chasers, and they're usually at their best when Mother Nature is at her worst.
Cool.
Today they're tracking a large storm system across the southern United States.
We're headed west out of Amarillo to play a slight risk on the upslope in eastern New Mexico and southeast Oklahoma. We may regret it, but you know, it's kind of fun.
The team is joined on the road by two other extreme weather watchers.
Scott Blair is ahead of us. Jason Polite is behind us.
The day starts out slowly. The crew is having trouble finding the big storm, so they curb their hunger with a few atmospheric appetizers.
Oh, it's decent. It's going.
Yeah, it's pretty dusty.
Almost multi-vortex.
But it only leaves them craving more. The caravan drives on in search of darker skies.
Just a question, what happens if actually...
With a cache of high-tech tracking equipment and years of experience behind them, it doesn't take long.
Okay, here's much more than I ever expected to see today.
As the storm grows, so does the squad's excitement.
Look at this evil, wicked core coming at us. Whoa!
They're hoping this cell provides them with some great shots, and maybe even a funnel cloud.
Looky here. Got a lowered area.
But after a while, they realize that something's not right. The storm is moving in an odd rotation. Then, in the distance, they see another potential problem.
It's like there's a big line of hail coming down.
Boeing's outward, though.
Yeah, what's that about?
The team is having trouble predicting which way the hail core is moving.
After that.
Not wanting to get trapped in the icy downpour, they decide to turn back. But no matter where they go, it seems the storm is right there. As the threat looms closer, tensions run high.
Nice. Well, just to our left, there's probably baseball hail. We're desperately trying to outrun. We gotta get east of it.
Well, you know, I'm going between 70 and 80. I can't go any faster on this shitty road.
Even with the team's vast knowledge, this is one storm they can't seem to figure out.
It just keeps propagating. It's kind of strange.
As the chasers cross back into Amarillo, the sky suddenly turns white. Cridler and Lewison get a chilling message from the chasers up ahead.
You know what? Baseball-sized hail.
What? Did he say baseball?
By the time the transmission sinks in, it's already too late.
Shit.
Damn, you just fucking lost my shield. Oh God, oh God.
A giant hailstone slams into their windshield, fracturing the glass. And then all hell breaks loose.
Oh God.
Get away from the window, Chris. Get away from the window.
I'm really scared. I'm really
Can't turn
scared.
around.
For 10 terrifying minutes, Cridler's car is pounded by sheets of golf ball-sized stones. The team came out today in search of extreme weather. They were even disappointed when they couldn't find it. But now that it's here, all they want is for it to go away. Their only option is to wait it out. Eventually, the onslaught subsides and the storm passes over, but not before leaving its mark.
Look at that. Big ass hailstone took the paint off The taillights are gone. Just smashed through. Look at these dents. These are freaking baseballs, man.
Cridler and her friends made an exciting hobby out of staring directly into the eye of the storm. But today, they got a reminder of just how serious nature can be.
There's the storm running off in the distance, the bastard. We had no choice but to be stuck. We were screwed.
And as the clouds slowly fade into the distance, they leave behind an important message. Be careful what you chase. You just might catch it.
Shit, damn you! Oh God! Oh God!
Ellesmere, Delaware. An innocent game of hide and seek has gone terribly wrong. 9-year-old Luciano Dimino was told by his mother not to play in this deserted area. But the lure of a perfect hiding place was too great for the young boy. Now this 2-foot-wide sewer pipe has him trapped. The two friends Luciano was playing with were afraid they would all get in trouble. So they tried for over an hour to get him out themselves, before calling for adult help. Firemen cannot see how deep the pipe goes, or what he's stuck on. So they hold Luciano's arm with a firm grip. The only option is breaking open the pipe where they believe the boy's legs are trapped.
Chip her up. We got you, dude.
It'll be a delicate task, since they are working only inches from his feet. Little Luciano clings to the rescuer's arms while they methodically hammer out chunks of cement trying to get to his lower extremities.
You gotta hold him there.
But there's a problem.
That was the dust is getting heavy.
Kevin, get the O2 bag.
The cement dust inside the pipe starts to choke the little boy. Rescuers put an oxygen mask over his nose and mouth to help him breathe.
The foot in question is over this side more.
Firefighters have smashed out large chunks. It appears the boy is almost freed. But rescuers discover they aren't as close as they had hoped.
Thank you.
The metal support structure inside the cement is in the way. They'll have to cut it out. To make matters worse, Luciano's feet are painfully twisted over one another and snagged on the metal inside the pipe.
It's gonna be a little painful just for a second.
His muffled cries can be heard as firemen try to release them from the grip of the rebar.
Go up. Don't let him move. Don't let him move.
His mother takes his muddy shoes, hoping her son will soon follow.
If you can hold real steady for a minute, I'm gonna re-grab.
Finally, enough material is cleared out. Rescuers get a good grip
There he is.
and yank the little boy out of the pipe. He's strapped to a backboard so he can be transported to the hospital and checked for any injuries. Firefighters remain on the scene to break up the pipe and make sure an incident like this won't happen again.
The impeller.
Little Luciano was left with only scrapes, bruises, and an aching conscience. Painfully aware that when his parents told him to stay away, they knew what they were talking about. Meet baseball player and fanatic Ryan Parker, along with his buddies Peter in the backseat and John at the wheel.
I never disrespected the people at home. Pete, did I disrespect them ever?
Yeah, we might have to pull a rewind on that too.
I didn't disrespect.
These three New Yorkers are on a cross-country road trip touring Major League Baseball parks. Camcorder in tow, they catch a game at Busch Stadium in St. Louis and catch another at Chicago's Wrigley Field.
I'm gonna go see if I can work at the ticket window. Go for it.
But when they arrive at Edison Field in Anaheim, California, the guys catch far more than they bargained for.
This is awesome. Take a listen.
The trio has shown up early to purchase tickets for tonight's ball game. Peter mans the camera as Ryan and John buy the tickets.
There you go. You guys have a good time.
Thank you very much. All right.
These guys are psyched for the game.
$23 a pop down the third baseline. That's not bad.
But it'll be a while before the first pitch.
So we got about an hour and 20 minutes to come back, check out some BP.
As Ryan dashes back to see if they can bring in the camcorder, Peter turns his lens to John for some commentary.
This is very surprisingly nice. I expected it to be cold.
but he's quickly preempted.
Holy smokes. Jesus. Oh my God.
No, let's go.
As they sprint to the stricken plane, the guys can't believe what they just saw.
Holy smokes.
Swooping out of the sky, the Cessna bounced off the asphalt and careened across the parking lot. Thankfully, the lot was empty at this hour. But before the pilot could stop the plane, it plowed into a concrete barrier. Fearing the worst, the guys race across row after row of parking spaces to check on the pilot and any other passengers. Ryan's the first to arrive and finds the pilot and his one passenger shaken but uninjured.
I guess he's alright. I guess he's leaking gas, so he just told me to stay back. I came, but I just ran that far.
Ryan and company soon find out the pilot was flying an advertising banner up and down the coast when his plane started having engine trouble. On his way back to the airfield, the problem became critical. The pilot was forced to drop the banner over the city and make an emergency landing at Edison Field.
Oh my God. Holy shit.
The pilot appears more bemused than anything as the guys move up for a closer look at the wreckage.
Now you dropped the banner.
Yeah, I didn't hit the freeway, did I?
Hey guys, I'm going to have everybody get back.
I was trying to...
Ryan seems more excited than anyone else on the scene.
Then the girl asked me, she goes, did that plane just take off from our parking lot? I go, what are you talking about? He bounced off the freaking parking lot, goes through the wall, and he gets on and he goes, yeah, I'm fine.
Fire crews arrive to clean up the crash site, but they're not the only ones showing up.
Here comes the news crew.
The news chopper may have the bird's eye view of the aftermath.
Whoa.
But Ryan and company can rest assured they got the money shot.
Jesus. Oh my God.
In Tampa, Florida, an unhinged woman dangles hundreds of feet in the air, daring rescue crews to do their job. She could be suicidal, or she could be under the influence of drugs. Either way, she needs help. Spectators watch with bated breath as she treats the telephone tower like her personal jungle gym. Rescuers plead with her to stop moving. All her fancy footwork is making it tricky for them to nab her before she falls to her death. Everyone's afraid the big finale could be a messy one if they don't do something quick. But then, something utterly unexpected happens. The woman passes out. It could be from booze or from a medical condition, but as she limply balances on the girder, she's in serious danger of dropping. Rescuers figure this is their best chance to go for the grab. From several angles, rescuers move gingerly up the tower, trying not to wake the weary woman. But it looks like nothing will rouse her. A noisy cherry picker creeps up close enough, allowing rescuers to pull her to safety. In her passed-out state, she's complete dead weight, but very much alive. Paramedics will check her into a local hospital, where they'll treat her for some minor scrapes and try to determine whether she was drunk, crazy, or just high. But whatever ails her can now be treated, thanks to a few brave firefighters who risked it all to save her life. In San Diego, a skunk with a sweet tooth has snuck into the trash and got himself a lot more than he bargained for. Neighbors were shocked to find the stinker with a yogurt container stuck to his head. He's trapped in the front courtyard of a home and will need the help of humans to make it out of there. But who is going to volunteer for a mission with such a stinky downside? Tim Lewis, a man who enjoys saving wild animals, has seen this sort of thing countless times before. And he refuses to sit and watch the skunk struggle.
These are nocturnal animals. He's not comfortable out here in the sunlight. He needs to be someplace where he can take a rest, and he's obviously tired. He's been running around here for 2 hours.
Tim steps up and offers to tackle the confused critter in hopes of cutting the container loose.
Okay, we ready to go here?
You gonna be able to catch him?
Oh, yeah.
The skunk is spraying, but thankfully Tim has a towel to soak up any odor overflow. One squirt from the skunk could have him stinking for weeks.
Okay, he's coming that way. Watch him.
If he isn't careful with the scissors, Tim could seriously cut the antsy critter, killing their Good Samaritan buzz fast.
Is he upset?
Oh, yeah, he's upset. Yeah, he's leaking a little bit.
It's a scary procedure, but in seconds, the skunk loses its hat without losing its head.
Hopefully he'll get out of here and go rejoin his family, wherever that is.
The skunk safely sneaks off to find his family, while Tim contemplates plans of his own.
I wonder how much I can get for this on eBay now.